So over a month ago, I posted up on the community tab for you all to ask your questions, and I would make a video to answer them. And I know it's been a little while, but I'm gonna go ahead and answer them probably in two parts because there were about a dozen questions, and I'll probably get to about half of them in this video, half of them in the other. Before we begin, I just wanna go ahead and thank Raj Kumar for taking the extra step to support the channel. If you didn't know, I have a website where I sell some LUTs that I made, and also have an option where you can pay a little bit extra to just support the channel, get a little thank you letter, and then you'll also get a small shout out like this on the channel. So if you're interested in that, I have the link in the description. But either way, I just really appreciate you all showing up each week to watch these videos. So without further ado, let's get into it. David Longnecker says, should I get the Olympus 45mm f1.2 or the Sigma 50-100 and the Viltrox EFM2 for weddings? David, you know what I think. Get the Viltrox EFM2, get the Sigma 50-100. My reasoning is you'll be more creative with new gear, even if it's really cumbersome, and of course, upgradability in the future. I would go with that. Crimey Media, you know, with a lens, Cinema Anamorphic from the Makey, it's affordable, around $330, and there's many variants of cinema lenses, 16mm to 25mm with the T2.2, so they're talking about the Makey Cine lens series that just came out fairly recently, a couple months ago. They want me to try it, and it's really cool to see high-end, great anamorphic cinema lenses. First off, they're not anamorphic. Those lenses are spherical, just like the other lenses, but from what I understand, I know Of2Lands has done a few videos. They actually have a review over on their channel of the Makey Cinema lenses, so if you're interested in those lenses, I would check out Of2Lands. I really like their channel. Their sample footage is absolutely gorgeous. Go check them out. They've done some work on that lens. Project GOM asks, how is everything coming along with the filmmaking career? Any lessons learned that you'd want to share? So one thing I've noticed on the business end of things so far is really it's about being the kind of person that somebody wants to work with, less than having the gear people want you to shoot with. Sure, like you need to have good work. For instance, this coming spring, I have a client that is going to be needing some an internal video and an external public video made for their construction company. They actually ended up seeing my overpass video shot with the G85 and Sigma 30mm and absolutely loved it because it was a place that they had been to and they were seeing it with a new interesting light, and it worked with what they wanted for their video. So there's the one piece of, yeah, you have to have really good work, but the other piece is you have to be the kind of person that they would want to work with and aligns with their values and vision of their company. So I met with one of the owners of the construction company, talked with her for a while, and we really just connected, and we both had kind of similar visions for, you know, how I want to make videos. I want to make videos that are meaningful and aren't just your boring corporate videos. They're very similar. They're very community oriented and want videos that really have a soul in them. So I mean, both of our visions worked really well. So I think the biggest thing over and above gear is be the kind of person business owners would want to work with. And that's kind of a nebulous term, and I really want to get into it in the future in much more depth. I would say a couple things. Work on your conversation skills, because I suck at that. Work on clearly communicating what you do and why, and then make a very smooth client process. So you have the initial email connection, you have the initial face-to-face meeting, which is important, and then you say, okay, what's next? And make that a very systematic, personal, but systematic, clear system for them to follow. So I'll probably have more well thought out thoughts in the future that I'll be sharing in different videos, but that's kind of my takeaway so far. All right, last question for this first video is going to be from I am Remy J, who says, how do you set up for low light shooting with the G85? I think I answered this in the last Q&A, but I'll just go over it again. Basically what you want to do is try to shoot at the lowest ISO possible to get the cleanest image in low light. The only problem with that is when you bump down your ISO to let's say 200, the image gets really, really dark, and you really don't want that. So you say, okay, what do I do? A lot of people think the only option is to bump up your ISO to like 3200 or 6400 or something like that. And while the image will be a little better exposed, it's gonna be really noisy and just not gonna look very good. There are a couple things you can do to make them better in low light. First thing I would say is get a lens with a fast aperture. Basically a fast aperture is something like below f2, something like f1.4 or f1.2 or f1.7, something that's gonna let in a lot of light onto the sensor so you don't have to be shooting at those high noisy ISO levels. Let's say you have the Panasonic G85. The first lens I got for it was the Panasonic 25mm f1.7, which lets in a really nice amount of light. You can get some halfway decent low light shots with it. A couple other things, make sure to be shooting in manual video mode, so then you're actually shooting at f1.7, and then also you might want to shoot 24p so that your shutter speed can still be at 1/50th of a second, letting in a little bit more light. If you're shooting slow-mo at night, you're going to be losing a little bit of that light due to your higher shutter speed. If you want to know more about the settings of the G85 to make it better for filmmaking, go ahead and follow this card up here or down below in the description, and we'll see you all next week.